welcome back to the channel. This is the Boss Katana. Now the Boss Katana is old news. They've been around for a long time. I picked up my Boss Katana for my music school. It was actually about £180. This was back prior to lockdown. So I think I got this in 2019. And what can I say? I'd actually bought a couple for my music department where I worked at the time, and I was blown away by the response of these amps more than anything. So I'm really into tube amps, and I would consider myself a connoisseur of those. This, I think, is the greatest amp of its generation, but it's not my favourite amp. So my favourite amp is the Deluxe Reverb, Fender Deluxe Reverb, closely matched by Marshall Plexi, and I love the two rocks as well that sound, like Dumbles. Dumbles are obviously unobtainium, but those are that kind of ranking order. I like the Mesa Boogies as well, like the Lone Star. Absolutely love that amp. Had a bit of that for a while. For me, I've never really been a modelling amp guy. I have been through that phase at one point or another. This is the best amp you can get for the money. So on the used market, this is the Mark 1. On the used market, these are around £100 at the moment, or I've seen them in the States as well, around $100 on Reverb. You can get them anywhere between, they kind of sit at around 100 to 130. They bottom out at 80. So I've seen some working at 80. And I've seen some go for like 170, which is about what I paid for back in the day for a brand new one. And what can I say about this amp? So at the time that I bought it, I was using a Mesa Boogie 525, and I was also doing quite a wide range of gigs. And what I found with this was I didn't even need a pedal board sometimes, because what I could do is make some patches, and I would just get through the whole gig on like 2 or 3 patches. So it's really impressive. It has switchable power. The 50 watts is plenty loud. It's got an acoustic amp in it, which is fantastic. So I've done a few gigs where I've used my acoustic guitar, and what I'm about to do, I'll just demonstrate the tone of this with my acoustic. I've just put a little bit of reverb here. Sounds sweet. Might give it a bit more master just because it's a little bit. But it does a great job of being quite flat with the guitar. It doesn't need to do a lot because the guitar does a lot of the talking. That's pretty impressive. It's good for most gigs, most kind of scenarios. So we're going to have a little look at the clean tone. For me, a guitar just needs a good amp. For me, a good amp with a clean tone is literally my number one priority, really. So what am I after with a good clean tone? Let's have a listen. I've got a nice little volume here. So I'm going to turn the reverb down. So if I had a little bit of bass, a little bit of mid, tweak the treble a little bit, that's really great, isn't it, for a clean tone? So this amp is set up to give me, on the boost, a little bit of, so I've got mild distortion here. Here we go, bit of compression. Let's just have a look at the compression. It's a bit loud, isn't it? all based on the Boss pedals that you can get. So that's really nice, isn't it? That's a really cool kind of tone. So if you're doing your kind of picking, or if you're doing some tight kind of riffy kind of funk stuff, that's your tone, you know. And you can add other stuff as well. So you could add a bit of chorus as well, which is a classic kind of combination. Listen to that. So on and so forth. So yeah, really good for that. If I turn that off and we have a look at some of the boost options, you can choose different sort of guitar distorted options. This is going to be quite. That's cool, isn't it? Yeah, I like that. We've got, you know, bit of tone that you can add into that. Some different kind of distortion models. Just fantastic. I'm going to try some of the kind of crunchier kind of channels now. So the crunch channel has a very nice kind of satisfying gain kind of tone. And you could probably do a whole gig just on the crunch channel, you know. That's just with a gain halfway. I love how this breaks up. It's quite satisfying and a little bit saturated as well. It doesn't sound like a bumblebee in a jar, which is a very, you know, that's my kind of experience with that kind of solid state and some of the digital amps of the past. But, and you know, very kind of classic. It's a little bit saturated, but if I start adding, you know, gain into that. So back off. It's purry. Cleans up though. It's not quite as touch sensitive as you know your tube amp, but it's pretty damn good. So the next one is lead. Now lead is just very, very saturated gain. You know, lead for days. And that's just using, you know, the lead tone, no kind of extra effects, you know, because normally you'd probably have some kind of delay. And then you've got the brown sound, so we're going to go to brown town with this. So on and so forth. Brown is just even more compression really added to it. So why is it so good? Well, the tone quality is really good, and the quality of the amp, it's, you know, it's built down to a price, but it's pretty sturdy. It will withstand pretty much anything. It comes with a groovy foot underneath it, so you can lift it up and sit it on that foot. You can do silent stage with it, so you can plug it straight in to a venue's PA system using a jack lead, and it will work straight away. Only problem is it will cut the speaker out. You can't sort of turn the speaker on and off for that, but you can do silent stage with it, no problems at all. It's got all the kind of tones you're going to need in the box, really. And the quality of the effects is very good. And the best thing about it is it's got the Tone Studio software. So with that, you plug it in and you can just build your patches. You can download patches off the internet that other people have made, and you can just, you know, you're kind of in. You've got all the choices really that you might want for your tones, and you can buy a little switch that I did for this. That it was like a little momentary foot switch, and I could change my channels as well. So I was turning up to gigs, and people were saying, "Where's your pedal board?" Well, I don't really need it for this one. And when I was using this momentary switch, they were like, "Wow!" Because you could get, you know, I was getting 4 different tones out of this that would get me through most of the kind of shows that I was doing. It's, you know, like I say, it's not my touring rig, but I use it in the school. I've got every tone. You know, if somebody wants to learn a song, I can dial something in straight away off the panel. And it's great for practice as well. So, you know, take it a lot. I just have it in my studio for band practice, saves me rigging everything up, and it just works great. And people are like, "Oh, that sounds wicked," and it's just the most cheapest. I can't believe they're available now at this price, because they are, I think, one of the best bang for buck amplifiers you can get. It's not a tube amp. It's not trying to be a tube amp. It doesn't. What I like about Boss as well is it's just about getting the sound. So with Boss, they don't say, you know, don't allude to it sounding like a Marshall. They don't allude to it sounding like a Fender or any of the classic kind of amp tones. It's not a matchless or whatever. It's just clean, crunch, acoustic lead, and you can build your tone out of it. You can't change the way it clips like you would on a more modern kind of modeling amp, but what you can do with it is get yourself through pretty much any gig with any tone that you need. It's the kind of bit of equipment that you could say, if I've got a cruise coming up, I was half tempted, because sometimes you don't know what backline you're going to get. I was half tempted to say Boss Katana, just because if I've got a Boss Katana, I'd be able to spend 5 minutes and get all the tones I want real quick. So, and to me, that's probably more important than me having something that I'm unfamiliar with and can possibly end up in a bit of trouble trying to get the tones. So that's my little rundown of the Boss Katana. cannot believe how cheap they are. They're still a relevant piece of equipment, so long as people want to have amplifiers in the room, they're relevant. It works as an audio interface as well, so I can't really fault it. It's not amazing. It won't make you sell your Mesa Boogie and your Fender amps. You know, it's not that sort of thing. It won't make you sell your Marshall valve amp. But what it will do, you'll probably end up taking it out a lot more, and it will mean that you've got something that will always kind of do a job. Extra little features you can, when you're doing your gigs, you can, or rehearsals, there's a little thing at the bottom of the amp, little foot that you can just fold out and it'll angle it up nicely. You can plug it into the computer and do the computer interface thing, which I do a lot of on the tone recipes videos that I do, where we try to emulate the tone of other guitars and other amps and rigs of the stars. So we've done the Santana and we've done Stevie Ray Vaughan. We're going to do quite a few more of those coming up, and that's just using this Katana amp and the digital, you know, on the computer stuff. The other great thing is you can do silent stage. So I find that half of the gigs that I have to do at the moment, some are with amps live, some are with the silent stage. And the silent stage is you plug in your guitar to the back of the amp, almost like a DI, and you, it is. You DI it out, and then it goes into the PA, and you're at the mercy of the sound engineer, which is cool. And normally it works great. I've had a few gigs, because it cuts the speaker off, I've had a few gigs where sound engineers turn me down in my ears, and I can't hear anything because there's nothing on stage making a sound, and it was a bit of a nightmare. So I much prefer to use like my Fender Deluxe Reverb, where I've got the control and I can turn it up on stage or down or whatever. Other than that, it's great. It's got switchable power, so you can go from 5 watts all the way up to 50 watts, and it's loud enough to do all the gigs because you're always mic'd up. If you're in a pub where you're just using backline, I've done that for years, and you do need more. You'll need something more powerful. You'll need something a bit louder. You'll need more headroom, you know, so that your clean volume will run out if you need that clean volume. One of the cool things as well is the effects. So it's got a nice compressor. It's got a nice set of modulation and effects and delays and reverbs, and they're all the Boss stuff. So it always just sounds wonderful. So check one out.